Soba versus udon, which is healthier? That's something I'm going to talk about today, so stick around. Hi, my name is Hachiaki Takamiya. I am the author of the Ikigai Diet and Ikigai Biohacking. So, ramen is a very popular Japanese dish all over the world now. And I told you that during WBC held in Japan, many teams came to Japan and they all went out eating Japanese food, and ramen was very popular. Like Raz Nutoba, who played for Japan, he loves ramen and he actually ate a lot of ramen in Japan. And also the Australian team went to one popular ramen chain restaurant as well, right? So ramen is very popular now. However, as I already said, it isn't Japanese dish. It is originally from China. It is a Chinese dish. I mean, even now it's kind of Japanized and, it is a part of Japanese cuisine, definitely, but still, it is a Chinese dish, yeah? When we talk about noodles in Japan, usually we mean udon or soba. So this is udon. Now, udon is becoming popular abroad now too. Like you have a marugame udon. Yeah, I suppose you have some of the chain restaurants in the United States and also in the UK as well. Your marugame udon. Yeah, that's becoming popular. So udon is definitely the next sort of boom, the washoku boom, I suppose. Yeah, but also we have soba. Yeah, in fact, soba is as popular as udon. Yeah, soba and udon are two big noodles in Japanese cuisine. Yeah, and so today I'm going to discuss soba versus udon, which is healthier, right? Now, it's a kind of delicate topic because it's also the question of East Japan versus West Japan, because soba is eaten more in the East Japan and udon is eaten more in the West Japan. And I'm from East Japan. I'm from Kanto, which is the region where Tokyo is located. I'm from Tokyo. I grew up there. And I lived in Nagano Prefecture for about 3 years. And Nagano is very famous for soba. Yeah, in fact, Nagano has a best soba called Shinshu soba. So I pretty much grew up in a kind of soba culture. And now I live in Kansai. I live in Shiga Prefecture, which is in Kansai, West Japan, and where udon is more popular than soba. So I've lived in Kansai for the last 11 years or so. So I have been exposed to the, Kansai food culture a lot, including udon, takoyaki, okonomiyaki, and so on. So for me, it's difficult to choose which. In fact, as far as the taste is concerned, it is very difficult to pick which one. I love both soba and udon. Yeah, it's not so much the question of which I like better. It's more like what soba dish or what udon dish I like the best. Yeah, so you can eat soba and udon pretty much in the same format. You can eat it cold or you can eat it hot, and you can eat it with, tempura or with nori and also negi. And yeah, pretty much you can make the same dish and you just replace soba with udon or udon with soba. Yeah. Therefore, it is kind of difficult to choose which one. But if I were to pick one favorite soba or udon dish, it would be zaru soba, which means cold soba. Yeah. And the second favorite is zaru udon, which is cold udon. And the third favorite is hot kake udon, which is a hot udon. And the least favorite one is kake soba, the hot soba. Yeah. So basically I prefer cold to hot. Yeah, when I eat soba or udon. And for the cold, I prefer soba to udon, but hot, I prefer udon to soba. Right. So that is why it is difficult to choose which one I like better. Yeah. But when I talk about health, that is slightly different. And then since this is the health channel, it's not a cultural channel or anything like that. So we're going to talk about health benefit, of course. Yeah, I would have to say soba is the winner in this case because soba in Japanese means buckwheat, and it is a noodle made of buckwheat. Yeah, while udon is made from wheat. Yeah. So, if you're allergic to gluten, buckwheat doesn't contain gluten, so it is better for you. Plus, recently we have a lot of wheat product, and we often people kind of want to avoid eating wheat. In that sense, definitely soba is a better option for you. Now, having said that, not all soba noodles are 100% buckwheat. Many of them are like maybe 70% buckwheat, but 30% wheat. Yeah, or some of them are 50% buckwheat and 50% wheat. Yeah, because usually it is easier to make soba noodles if you put some wheat. Yeah, so you have to pick the right one. This is called Juwari soba, which means 100% buckwheat. And Hachiwari soba means 80% buckwheat. Yeah. So if you want to purely buckwheat noodles, then you need to pick Juwari soba. Yeah. And Hachiwari soba is still, okay. I mean, if you're allergic to gluten, you can't eat that. But if you just want to reduce the amount of wheat intake, then Hachiwari soba would be great. Yeah. Having said that, I'm not against wheat. Yeah, wheat isn't always bad. I mean, recently, I think wheat has been kind of demonized. Like it's the cause of certain illnesses, and basically it's a carb, right? When we talk about carb intake, and the biggest the food source is wheat. You have so many wheat products such as pasta, pizza, bread. Yeah, but not all wheats are bad. Number one, when you talk about refined carbs and whole wheat, that's a completely different thing. So I think problem is eating refined wheat flour, such as white bread, white pasta. But if you are choosing whole wheat bread or whole wheat pasta, it's a different story. Perhaps the type of wheat is important too. If you pick heirloom wheat, such as spelt, like an ancient, type of wheat grown, then they are much healthier than more like a recent, like a modern version of wheat. Yeah. So depending on the type of wheat and how you eat wheat, it changes. Yeah. Plus, it is to do with frequency. Yeah. For anything, eating it too much isn't good for you. Yeah. And if you eat it very frequently, maybe you can just reduce the frequency and just once or maybe a few times a week, then it wouldn't harm you so much. So I sometimes eat bread and of course udon and pasta and stuff like that too. So yeah, wheat isn't always bad. And in fact, wheat could be very beneficial for you, especially for Europeans and I think Americans, Australians too. Yeah. Now, this is because I often talk about natto, right? I also call myself natto king. And one of the reasons why natto is so special is because of its bacteria. Natto bacteria is so powerful. Yeah. And then there's a man called Hitoshi Dozono in Japan who invented a liquid called Banno Koboeki, which is kind of a brown rice liquid. Yeah. And he says that brown rice bacteria and natto bacteria are the two most powerful bacteria and which are beneficial to the Japanese people. Right. So he's only speaking for Japanese people. Yeah. He doesn't know if it is the same for Europeans and so on. Yeah. But those foods are critical. And then the reason why brown rice bacteria is beneficial for us is because rice has been our staple food. And I think it probably applies to most East Asians because rice has been the staple food in the East Asia, right? So I asked him about, Europe. So would there be a equivalent in European culture? And he said, well, he doesn't know about Europe because he has not been to Europe and he hasn't really researched on it. But he thinks it is usually in the staple food of the region. Yeah. And then wheat, appeared the first thing in my mind. Wheat or any type of grain that has been grown throughout the centuries, and the food that has been eaten throughout the century. That's wheat, maybe oat, barley, rye. Along those grains are probably a candidate. If you can find a bacteria from that grain, it could be very beneficial to you. Now, by the way, how do you get the brown rice bacteria? You can find one in fermented brown rice, koso genmai. I shared with you a video called how to make koso genmai, fermented brown rice. Yeah, then you can gain brown rice bacteria by eating fermented brown rice. So the same thing can be true with wheat. If you eat wheat berries and if you ferment wheat berries, you can make fermented wheat berries, pretty much the same way as making fermented brown rice. In fact, I actually wrote a blog post on it, how to make fermented wheat berries. Yeah, I'll put the link in the description box below. Yeah. So I kind of recommend eating grains in its original form, such as wheat berries, oat grout. Yeah, so wheat, barley, oat, buckwheat, yeah, all of them eat as grain. Yeah, instead of changing to bread or noodles and stuff like that. That's the most original form, and it probably you can gain the benefit of fiber the most in this way. Yeah. Yeah, so I actually put this information in my book, The Ikigai Diet, chapter 9, Wheat versus Rice, the Ikigai Diet for Europeans. And for the carb in general, because some people want to avoid eating wheat because they want to avoid carb, right? So I wrote about it in chapter 6, low carb diet versus brown rice. Yeah. Okay, so I mean, in my opinion, you can eat wheat from time to time, but the best way of eating wheat is eating it as wheat berries. Having said that, we are not Shohei Ohtani. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I made a video called The Diet of Shohei Ohtani the other day, and for him, eating is just like absorbing nutrient. Yeah, he doesn't eat to enjoy food. In fact, he doesn't even put spices or seasonings in when he cooks at home, right? So for him, eating more like sort of gain critical nutrient. Yeah, but most people are not like that. I mean, I can be like Shohei Ohtani actually. I can probably quite live with that, but I think most people it's not. People like to enjoy eating, and eating is like a culture for us, right? So in that case, we cannot only eat those grains. I mean, we want to eat noodles and bread and different kind of pizza and stuff like that. So I mean, I love noodles, and noodles are such a delicious food, aren't they? I love ramen, I like udon, I love soba, I love pasta. So from time to time, it is okay to eat them, in my opinion. In fact, I put that in the book as well, in chapter 12, adding hygge to the Japanese diet. Right. Okay. Now, having said that, I have too many having said that, I know, but so coming back to that topic, soba versus udon, because in that sense, udon is also okay, right? From time to time, we can eat udon, but I still say soba is better in Japan because we have so many wheat-based products, such as takoyaki and okonomiyaki. They are both popular street foods in Kansai. Yeah, if you ever come to Japan and if you go to Osaka, please try takoyaki and okonomiyaki. They are so delicious. Yeah. And in fact, they are called konamono. Kona means flowers. So they're like a flowers food. Yeah. We have a, takoyaki, okonomiyaki, udon, and we have a somen and hiamegi. They're all wheat-based noodles, and ramen too, right? And soba is one of the few. In fact, the soba noodles is the only food I can think of that is made from buckwheat. So it's a rare opportunity to eat different kind of grains. Yeah, and I believe in diversity. You want to diversify your grain choices. Yeah, so whatever the grain you are eating, even rice, and I don't want to eat rice all the time. It is sometimes good to eat wheat or buckwheat or oats and barley and so on. So especially in the West, you have so many great grains such as oats, barley, rye, and you can make wonderful muesli and porridge from them. So yeah, do diversify your grain intake. That is a good idea. And in the case of Japan, we can replace, well, not replace, but we can eat more buckwheat. Therefore, it is better for us to eat soba. Okay, so again, you can eat soba in different ways, and you can have kake soba. What is it? Tempura soba. Soba with tempura. It's a hot soba. It's a great. And then cold soba. Cold tempura soba. That is wonderful. This is my favorite. Or you can put, this is nameko soba. So nameko is a type of mushrooms. You can put mushrooms in your soba. Or wakame soba, you can put wakame seaweed, great. And we always eat soba with negi. We always eat soba, udon, and ramen with negi. Yeah, and natto as well, right? This is tororo soba. So that's called tororo imo. It's made of what we call yama imo or naga imo. You grate yamaimo, nagaimo, and it becomes like that, and it becomes tororoimo. So you put tororo on soba, and that is also popular. Yeah, and if you like, you can put natto on top of it too. In fact, this is my soba. So I put a lot of ingredient. I put some cucumbers, wakame here, and spinach. Yeah, and then difficult to see, but these are tororo, and then here is natto and negi, and then that's soba. Yeah, right. And then nori, seaweed. So we got two different kind of seaweed, wakame and nori. Yeah, and then spinach and cucumber, two different kind of vegetables, or the negi, including negi, so three different kind of vegetables. And yeah, so it's a fiber-rich soba, right? So please enjoy eating soba, and please enjoy eating udon as well, because I'm not against udon. Sometimes it's great to eat udon too. Okay, so to sum up, yeah, in the book, The Ikigai Diet, The Secret Japanese Diet to Health and Longevity, Chapter 9, yeah, there's a section called Wheat versus Rice, The Ikigai Diet for Europeans, and Chapter 6, Low Carb Diet versus Brown Rice, and Chapter 12, Adding Hyuge to the Japanese Diet. Now, the book contains a lot more information about Japanese natural food dietary culture, such as Mago wa Yasashi, Ichiju Sansai, Ichibutsu Zentai Shoku, Shindo Fuji, and Hare and Care. The book is available on Amazon, both as Kindle and print-on-demand paperback. Thank you for watching. Again, my name is Hachiaki Takamiya. I am the author of the Ikigai Diet and Ikigai Biohacking. If you like this video, please give me your thumb up and please subscribe to my channel. Please hit the subscribe button. Thank you. And please leave your comment. Yeah. Have you ever eaten udon? Or how about soba? Yeah. What are your experiences of eating them? Okay. I will see you in the next video. Live with your ikigai.